This is the Breakfast Leadership Podcast. Boundaries or burnout, you make the choice. Here's your host, Michael Levitt.
Welcome back. I've got David from BarBend on the line. Hey, David, how are you?
I'm doing well. Pleasure to be here.
Great to have you here. At the time of this recording, we have just started a new year and a new decade, depending on who you talk to. Some people say, no, 2021 would be the start of the new decade. Other people say 20. They can argue all they want. I look at it, it's the start of a new year. And the work that you do with BarBend is definitely on the health and wellness side of things. And we see a ton of people at the beginning of the year try to change everything about them, and they expect to see results within, I don't know, the first 4 days. And and unfortunately, that's not how it works. So first of all, tell us, why you launched the organization, what drove you to be a business owner, and some of the things you've been experiencing with the role.
Certainly. Well, BarBend was built out of a frustration, as many businesses are, because I've been a fan of strength sports for a long time. I've been an amateur competitor in strength sports, particularly weightlifting. It's something that I wrote a lot about in my previous life as a professional journalist and then as a freelance journalist and editor. And I was very passionate about the fitness space, and BarBend was the site that I always wanted to see. So my business partners and I decided to create a true resource for strength sports, weightlifting, powerlifting, CrossFit, strongman, etc. And that's why BarBend came about, because we didn't have that central resource where we could get news, analysis, opinion, tips, multimedia in strength sports all in one convenient place. So that's why we built BarBend and have grown the brand in some interesting directions from there. That was in early first half of 2016, so we've been around for about 3.5 years, going on 4 years. And it's interesting you bring up resolutions, because it's something we hear quite a bit about at BarBend every year. Every January it rolls around, and we see a really big spike in the number of folks who might want to be hitting the gym for the first time. We read about strength sports and strength training, so particularly people who maybe have a fitness background but have never done strength training in a dedicated capacity before. And new year, new me, it's a cliche, it gets a little bit played out, but it is an opportunity for folks to explore something new in fitness. And I think that resolutions can be a little taxing, and they can get a little tiring if it feels like something that we have to stick with, or if we try something new in fitness that we don't necessarily like. I like to think of the new year, or new decade, if you will, as an opportunity to try new things, because we're going to try a lot of things in health and wellness throughout our lives that we don't like. But along the way, we're going to find some things that we really do like. And I think being open to identifying what's not really working for us and what doesn't really get us jazzed or passionate, and what does, is really important. So I tend to encourage people not necessarily to set year-long resolutions, but to use it as an opportunity to try new things in health and fitness and wellness, and maybe identify something that really gets them excited about a fitness journey, and then double down on that.
Yeah, I've visited your site several times and was blown away. And thank you for that background story of wanting to find a site that you wanted to look at, because it definitely shows that, because it's robust. It's got all kinds of stuff on there that are, everything ties in with each other, but the resources, the nutrition, the strength training, and knowing, and you mentioned the New Year's resolution stuff too. In the building that I'm in, I'm fortunate that there's a gymnasium in my condo. So my excuse is, can I make it to that floor? It's not a case of, I got to jump in the car and drive across town, find parking, remember my gym bag. It's literally leave bedroom, get on elevator, and go. And you name it. The beginning of January, you're in the gym, you're looking around going, who are all these people? I don't recognize anybody in here. And by February, you tend to see the regulars. And those are the ones that have, like you said, found that routine that they enjoy. And I think that's a key point for people to focus on is to find something that you enjoy doing. For me, there's, a little bit of strength, more more of the cardio and things like that, because for me, I find it helps with energy, with stress reduction. Of course, I talk about burnout, and it's one of those components that I find common with a lot of people is, they're not, getting the right exercise in their life to help combat, the daily stressors that we face. Even if you've got the ideal world, you're still going to be facing stress. You had, alluded to, earlier on about in the pre-show about, moving into a new apartment in the New York area, and that's stressful. And you got to find it. You got to meet with the realtor, the landlord, sign off things, all these nuances and stuff, and it takes time. And if you're in good physical shape, your body can help fight the stressors that build up and the anxiety and everything else. So I'm sure you see that with the people that you work with and talk with.
100%. The mind-body connection, it's all one and the same, right? The brain is very physical. And so if you're working to improve your mental fitness and your mental capacity, and you're ignoring the other components of your physicality, well, you're going to run up against the roadblocks there. So certainly, I think seeing oneself as an interconnected kind of ecosystem of brain and body, it's an important perspective. And I do like a lot of what you said there, because finding what works for you in fitness is very important. There are a lot of different, very valid fitness journeys, and there are a lot of different ways to reach those fitness goals and to progress along those fitness journeys. What works for me might be different than what works for you. I might have different goals than you. A big purpose of BarBend is to showcase that, look, there are a lot of different definitions of strength. There are a lot of different ways to strength train. There are a lot of different ways to make it a part of your physical routine. Some people have goals to compete. Some people just want to get stronger. Some people are working out casually and they just like to be fans of these sports. That's all well and good. That's all completely valid. So, we're definitely not ones at BarBend to say, oh, there's only one way to reach this one particular goal. I mean, there's a lot of variability for everyone, and finding what gets you motivated and excited to incorporate more movement into kind of your weekly routine. Hey, that's music to our ears. So definitely something I encourage people to have perspective on. You don't necessarily have to be aiming to be that world-class athlete. Find what you really enjoy. Find a type of exercise that you really enjoy. And I think people think that, oh, the only effective exercise is exercise that makes you miserable. That's not necessarily the case. So I am glad you brought that point up.
Yeah, I find with people, especially the people I see in the gym, I know they tend to gravitate to different things. For me, I aim to try to hit all the machines in a rotation type of situation during my week, because again, it's it's allowing your muscles to build and learn new things. Like swimming, for example, you don't realize if you don't tend to swim very often, all of a sudden you start swimming a lot, you start discovering muscles that you didn't know you had. And that's the same thing with other types of movement is, doing some things differently, you'll notice, wait a minute, this is a sensation or, something that I haven't felt before. And I'm getting stronger in certain areas than I was before. And from a professional athlete or someone that's competing, they're constantly looking for that extra edge, whether to be better on the field or the court or the ice, or to extend their career, because as you know, our bodies, they do break down. You can take the best care of them possible, but over time, just because like anything, if you use something a lot, eventually it's going to start breaking down a little bit. So what are some techniques that you do in talking with people to help them make sure that they're doing things the right way and focus on making sure that they don't cause more harm than good, especially when they're starting off with a new strength training regime?
Yeah, what I would say is, the first thing we always say, and this sounds, again, a little cliche, but it is important, it's always good to find a qualified coach or trainer, especially if you are getting into complex strength training movements. Having eyes on you and someone who gets to know you personally and how your body responds to different stimuli is there's no replacement for that. There's no website or article series or video series that's ever going to be as good as that, in my opinion. So that's kind of thing number one. Thing number two is prioritize recovery. More is not necessarily better, especially when it comes to strength training. Like you gain strength not while you're working out, but during the recovery process, during through your nutrition, through your sleep. Your muscles are getting stronger. Your nervous system is often adapting and recovering in between workouts, not during the workouts. So it's not necessarily about how much time you spend in the gym, but oftentimes the quality of recovery immediately after. And one thing I do like to encourage people to keep in mind is if you are looking to get stronger, especially increase strength and power output, if that is a goal of yours, even before you go at that full speed ahead, look at your sleep schedule and your sleep habits. We produce as humans, most of our human growth hormone naturally occurs and is produced during different phases of sleep. So if your sleep is under optimized and if you're not resting well, you're going to be very under optimized to make gains based on your workouts. And it could be any physical goal. Better sleep, better quality sleep is going to be very important if your goal is to lose weight, if your goal is to gain weight, if your goal is to build muscle, if your goal is to go through body recomposition. It really all comes down to how are you recovering from the work you're putting in the gym or outdoors or wherever it be that you are working out. So when you start a new workout routine, you have to include recovery in that plan as opposed to just saying, okay, here are the lifts I want to go do. Here's how many times a week I want to go do them. If you are not prioritizing your recovery, especially in the 24 hours immediately after that exercise, then you're really doing yourself a disservice. So one of the most important things I think people can do is to hone in and develop better sleep habits and better sleep hygiene even before or while they're undergoing or trying out a new workout regimen. That's like the most underrated thing, and sleep is the most underrated tool for any sort of physical and mental performance there is.
Completely agree on that. And you're writing a post for one of the sleep organizations. I'm waiting to finalize all that stuff, but I completely agree. And sleep is crucial. And with stress and healing, if you're under the weather, you're ill with the flu, cold, or recovering from surgery or whatever the case may be, your body does its repair work while it's sleeping. And when it does that, and if you're getting a decent night's sleep with the right conditions for you, because some people sleep better if it's warmer in the room, some people if it's cold, some people need it to be pitch black in the room, other people want a nightlight. Whatever it takes to help you get that ideal amount of sleep that your body needs is crucial, and it's independent to you. There's so many people out there that that will say that they can operate on 5 hours of sleep. Great, if you can operate perfectly and your body's in a optimum state and that's all you need to be able to do what you need to do, then who am I to judge? But for most of us, it needs to be quality sleep and consistent. And I find too, with a lot of people that I work with that are stressed out or burned out, I ask them, what's your sleep patterns like? Is it consistent? Are you getting a consistent amount of sleep? If you're tossing and turning because you're stressed and you're constantly thinking about things, again, that's robbing your body of the ability to heal itself from the damage that we do every day. And if you're exercising and working out, your body's not going to recover from it, and you're not going to see the gains or the improvements that you're expecting because you haven't given your body the opportunity to do it.
100%. I agree completely.
It's like, and I think it could be, and we've always had this issue, but I think even more so recently, society is so used to getting access to everything so quickly, instantly, whether it's, researching something online or, improperly going to the fast food and ordering something and getting the food, within a couple of minutes. And we've accustomed to getting everything next to immediately, if not immediately on some things. And that's why I think sometimes with strength training and implementing a new exercise routine in your life, you're expecting to see these results instantly because your brain has been programmed that everything happens instantly. And that's not how our bodies were designed to work. And that's unfortunately how our lives weren't really designed to work in the first place. But with technology and access to anything and everything, we've we've tend to overload our schedules and our times, and then it takes a toll on us both physically and mentally as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So for someone that was thinking about getting into, and I know we've kind of alluded to this before, about hiring, a qualified trainer to guide you. What are some of the reasons that people come to you or reach out to you on your site or talk to you in general about, why they want to, start looking at a strength-based routine when it comes to their exercise?
Well, we as humans can really benefit in a lot of ways from strength training. There are physical benefits, there are mental benefits, there are self-confidence benefits. Strength training I firmly believe, is good. Now, there are anything taken to its extreme can be difficult for some people and may not be beneficial for everyone. Working to become an elite level power lifter isn't necessarily going to be the healthiest decision for everyone. I think that having a balanced strength training and fitness and movement regimen is ideal for many people. But strength training and resistance training, it's very good for you, especially as we age. It helps improve bone density, muscle mass, which can be more difficult to maintain and build as we get older. There are cardiovascular benefits. Being stronger is just generally healthier than not resistance training. And there's so much research to back that up, and there's so many benefits. And the physical benefits, I think a lot of us understand. There are aesthetic benefits, there are longevity benefits. Being stronger, being resistance trained as opposed to being untrained, it's just easier to kind of go about your daily life, to go upstairs. It makes you more resistant to injury from a fall or a trip or something like that. And it can help improve mobility when done correctly. But I think one thing that I really like to focus on when I encourage people to get into some form of strength training, again, it doesn't have to be anything extreme, is there is this mental benefit. There is this confidence benefit. Being stronger than you used to be, being able to do things that you were once physically unable to do. It's really cool, and it's a really, really nice self-confidence boost. Strength training is something that's very measurable. I am able to understand, here's what I'm capable of now, here's what I was capable of, and I'm able to track that improvement over time. It's a trip the first time you do it. The first time you say, it doesn't even necessarily need to be a maximal lift, right? For some people, going to an absolute maximum or absolute failure on a lift is not the best decision for them. So it can be measured as in a simpler way. For example, I did 4 reps at this weight in this movement, and I did that, and it felt much easier than the first time I attempted that weight for 4 reps for that movement. It could be even measured by perceived exertion. And it has just a fantastic mental benefits, because you see this improvement in yourself and in your physical well-being that has immense carryover into your mental state, your self-confidence, how you carry yourself in social interactions, you name it. So the physical benefits, I think we all get that, right? A lot of people have heard from their doctors, hey, you should incorporate strength training or resistance training. But it's that mental component that I think is really underrated, and something that I really like to emphasize when folks, could be friends, could be readers, first reach out and say, hey, I'm interested in strength training. I'm not really sure where to start, not really sure it's right for me. Hey, it's right for everybody's brain.
No, it's so crucial, and that's an impeccable advice for people. And again, it highlights in time you're going to notice something, and it won't be in the next day, may not be in the next week, but even within a couple weeks, you'll notice some things, and you just have to give it time. And my own health journey, I lost a considerable amount of weight last year after trying for a very long time, and I finally found something that worked for me. Found the right nutrition coach, found the right people to guide me on things, and I look at pictures of myself from a few years ago, and I go, wow, okay, now I see why people, because when you look in the mirror, you look and you go, okay, yeah, I'm noticing a difference, but it didn't seem like completely dramatic. But then everybody says, wow, you've lost a lot of weight. And then I look at pictures of me, and I look at the mirror and go, same guy, I guess. It's like, wait a minute. And but it's a wonderful feeling. And of course it just makes it easier for for you to, to feel better and be more alert and enjoy more of life, and even taste foods. That's one of the things I find too, a lot of times with people that are stressed is, they're eating because they need to eat, but they don't even really taste their food because there's so many things going on. And when you take better care of yourself and get healthier and build up, muscles and strength and things like that, life, I don't know, it's you start seeing more colors in life. The spectrum gets better. It's an amazing sensation because it goes back to what you said earlier. It's like our minds and our bodies are all connected, and it makes such a huge impact on all of us.
Yeah, I would agree with that entirely, and I think it certainly gives you a better appreciation for your own physicality. And again, it doesn't have to be anything completely major. You don't have to be necessarily training to break a world record, but having a better sense of your own physicality and a better connection with your body is something that I think can improve quality of life for just about everyone across the board.
Yeah, and I've seen it with people too that. I know somebody met them a few years ago. They showed the pictures of, they were a really heavy individual, several hundred pounds type of individual. And now you look at them and they are, muscular, not to the Rock level, but getting close. And you look at the pictures like, and I asked them, I said, was that your motivation? Did you want to get into that level of shape? And they said, no, they wanted to lose the weight first. But as they started, building up and doing strength and muscle mass and things like that, they were so enthralled by how well they felt. They just wanted to continue doing it. So they looked at different techniques, different nutrition, all, the whole gambit of things. And now, they're absolutely enjoying their life, and they feel so much better. They're going to be healthier. The likelihood of them, getting diabetes or any other, type of ailment like that is significantly reduced now because, they're taking better care of themselves, and the world gains somebody that's just making a huge impact in people's lives. And again, the side effects may vary, but I tell you what, most of them are going to be positive. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I like how you bring up that wasn't necessarily where they're at now wasn't necessarily their initial goal. Goals will change over time. I don't think I've ever met anyone whose physical goals have remained static over the course of their lifetime, and that's completely okay. And understanding that is something that takes a level of maturity and can be difficult, and it can be a little bit. You start questioning yourself when you're like, oh, my goals have changed. Is something wrong with me? Well, not necessarily. Goals do change. Physical and fitness goals will change, just like goals will change in entrepreneurship or business, right? There is a spectrum, and we as humans don't really remain static as we gain new perspective and as our lives progress. So that is something to keep in mind. It's completely okay if over time your goals may change physically, just as your goals may change in other arenas of your life.
It's great advice for everybody. So loved our conversation today. Where can people find out more about you and this awesome work that you're doing?
Well, thank you so much. If you want to find out more about BarBend, the best way is to visit barbend.com. You can also find us on YouTube. We're at BarBend on Instagram, at BarBend News on Twitter and Facebook, and we have the BarBend podcast, and you can find that wherever you get your fine podcasts, much like this one. And then me personally, I'm at David Thomas Tao on Instagram and at D_Tao, it's D_TAO on Twitter. And you'll also hear me on the BarBend podcast. I host a bunch of episodes there. So always looking forward to connecting with folks, whether it be in fitness or entrepreneurship. And that's kind of the spiel.
Awesome. And I'll definitely have all those links in the show notes. So David, thanks again for being on the show. Appreciate you and the work you're doing and helping and guiding people to really take care of themselves. And when they do it, it benefits all of us, because if people are healthy and happy, then the work that they do and their contribution to life just has a huge ripple effect for us all.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Hey, it's Michael again. Thank you for listening to the podcast. I really appreciate it. If you're like many people, you're dealing with some significant stress and possibly approaching burnout. I know how you feel. In 2009, my burnout led to a year of worst-case scenarios. I do not want that to happen to you. If you go to breakfastleadership.com, you can register for a free webinar on burnout prevention, as well as get a free checklist to have successful mornings. Start off each day the right way. Again, that's at breakfastleadership.com. Also, since you are a loyal podcast listener, I'm asking you to like, rate, and review my podcast on iTunes. I look at all the reviews and appreciate your comments, and it helps other potential listeners discover the content I have on the show. I appreciate you, and thanks again for listening.